What is up, everyone? It is Dreakt here, and today we're coming back to you with another video about Silent Salt Cookie. So here he is,
No belief
he's
ever
here. We got the
remains
same voice actor as
unchanged.
Almond Cookie, that's kind of funny, right? But the thing that we're gonna go look at is his skill and his build. And today's video, I'm gonna make sure that there is a free-to-play build, like an accessible build, and my build, which is like for absolute people who want to min-max absolutely everything. So before we go into that, let's actually go over his skill first. So it's called the End of Silence. Silent Salt Cookie calls upon the power of the eclipse to summon his steed, Nox Black Salt, if that is horse or something, and put his enemies to the state of silence eternal. Next, he charges forward to stride Nox Black Salt, which is his horse, cutting the shaded moon in half to make it explode. Oh, well, that's what we saw in the trailer, dealing great damage to enemy units. At the beginning of the battle, Silent Salt Cookie delivers Fury of the Catacombs to the enemy with the highest attack, targets non-safeguarded cookies first, obviously. Silent Salt Cookie himself is not affected by Fury of the Catacombs unless he is the only cookie on the team. Once Fury of the Catacombs is fully stacked, its target receives punishment. When the target is defeated, Fury of the Catacomb moves on to the next target with the highest attack. Once the team HP drops below a certain point, the 7 enemies with the highest attack, targets non-safeguard cookies first obviously, be inflicted with the Wrath of the Catacombs that will instantly trigger the Silent Demise effect. Silent Salt Cookie's Forsaken Freedom renders him immune to all cooldown impairing effects. Goodbye, Mystic Flower, forever.
Bye.
When affected with cooldown increasing or pausing in effects, Silent Salt Cookie will gain an HP shield, so if he's inflicted with Silence, the Eternal Sugar Cookie stun, well no, not the Eternal Sugar Cookie stun, he will gain an HP shield along with damage resist and cooldown recovery buffs. So Silence Eternal, the Eclipse is weakness, well, damage plus 22%. I think it's still weakness, plus 22.5% for 15 seconds, stacks up to 1x. Rooted is 2.5 seconds. I don't know what Rooted does, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Silence Eternal is silence 2 seconds every 1 second over 3. Wow, that is really good. All right, so here's a Lunar Slash. This is when the moon explodes. So he's a dual element cookie, so it's steel damage to cookies and dark damage to everyone else. So he does 457.9% of attack plus 25.5% of max HP cookies, and the bypass is 40%, which you still obviously, even though there is that 40%, adding on using, let's say, a tainted biscuit might be the best. Just adding in my thoughts as I'm reading the skill for the first time. Moon Slice petrified for 2 seconds plus taken damage 40%, so that's weakness obviously. Taken damage same thing, stacks up to 1x. Moon Explosion damage 6 hits dealing 196.2% of attack plus max HP as well. Now it's 183.2% of attack for other PvE enemies with dark damage. And Moon Explosion bypass, same damage dealt by enemies, so they're getting a damage down buff, they deal a quarter less damage for 10 seconds after Moon Explosion. It stacks up to 1x. So Forsaken Freedom is his whole immune thing. If he gets cooldown impaired, let's say silenced or stunned, or what something might happen like that, he gets all this. He gets HP shield 20%, damage resist 15%, cooldown recovery plus 25% for 5 seconds, stacks up to 1 obviously. Debuff resist 35%, max HP 35%, and damage resist 35%. So if you use Mystic Flower in the arena, you are cooked. You are cooked. So Fury of the Catacombs is his cooldown recovery minus 25% dealt damage. Oh, this is I think this goes on to the highest attack cookie, right? Fury of the Catacomb, yeah, this is the debuff. Searing Seal 1x per 1 second plus ×3 when target uses skill, plus 4 when casting Moon Explosion at 7x. Oh, that's every stack. That's what happens. The punishment and sealing seal reset, and the punishment damage is ×3 hits, dealing 189% of attack per hit, plus 35% of max HP. Will still damage this bypass 35%, and then obviously does damage to others, which we don't really care about because this is an arena. Caring about the arena. So punishment silence also does. It goes on for 1.5 seconds. So Wrath of the Catacombs activates when allies' HP drops 70%. The arena bar, it will go down to 70%. That's when this triggers. Skill cooldown reset, invulnerability for 1 second. So kind of like a vampire. And then Silent Demise. Silent Demise and Moon Explosion are activated, or 15 seconds passes, Wrath of the Catacomb ends, triggering punishment, and this is punishment again. Oh no, 45% of max HP. Wow, I'm just rendered speechless by how overpowered this skill is. It's insane. Bypass 40%, which you still, even though you have that, you might want to add more bypass on the biscuit. We're not going to, shift to cooldown. If a cookie's HP drops below 3.5% from punishment, that's what we saw on the trailer, I think. I think that's what we saw on the trailer. They are immediately defeated. Yeah. this is a crazy cookie. So I haven't actually done the story yet, so I don't really want to like, you know, go in. So I still haven't done story mode since my Doyle video. So here's Silent Salt, sick cookie, right? But we're gonna get into his builds. Okay, so first off, we're going to be doing the free-to-play build, you know, the more accessible build. I kind of threw something together with my lesser, you know, toppings. For something more accessible, I did a crappy biscuit. I've had this biscuit probably since biscuits came out, and I put this on Black Pearl, but now it's on Silent Salt for more of like, you know, an accessible build. What you're gonna want to aim for is around 19%. The editor V cookie will put the actual amount once I figure it out. For right now, I really know it's around 19% cooldown. You just want to also stack damage, resist, crit, attack, and these other dead stats. You know, you might have more dead stats than me, but you do want to get up to 19% cooldown. And for, you know, the more accessible people who may not have like, you know, maximum stats, you could use, you know, 4 bypass. If you don't have the steel damage, obviously you can see the tainted biscuit that I'm going to be using. You know, I just made that biscuit today, so it's going to be a bit like not good. So you understand what I mean. So for his build, you really just want to put as much cooldown to get that 1 second start. You need that. You need the 1 second start for him to be viable inside the arena. You need it, or he's just going to get immediately deleted. That's like the bottom line. So, and now we're going to go on to my actual like good build. So I did a steel damage tainted biscuit because of all the, you know, extra bypass that is given to Silent Salt Cookie when he is attacked. So what I used here is I used 2 chocolates, 1 chocolate being the tart and 1 chocolate being the topping, and then 4 raspberry. Try and stack up his attack to be the highest attack cookie on the team, because he cannot receive the Silence of the Abyss or the silence of the whatever debuff that like actually like really detriments your cookies. The full toppings here, you know, this is like hyper optimized. Obviously, you know, you gain 2% from, you know, the biscuit. So I have 19.2% here. It is a 1 second start. Obviously, you know, you get better than 19%. It could be a little bit more, a little bit less, but 19% is like area where, you know, the damage is bypass. If you are doing tainted, I'd say around 35%. This is my biscuit, you know, it's not good. That 9.4% is really making me mad, but I'm saving my Radiant Dough, you know, for guild battle and such. You do want more than 25% damage resist, stack, crit, attack. You know, you can have some attack speed. You know, on one of the toppings, I think I have attack speed. It's because I'm trying to like, you know, absolutely max it out. Where's the attack speed? There it is. So I'm probably going to end up replacing this topping when I get better raspberries, but that's just really, you know, a placeholder. That's a dead stat, and I need to get that out of there. Now, looking at all the stats, you really want to just focus on damages, cooldown, especially get that 19% mark, and crit and attack as well. Attack, you need to make sure that Silent Salt is going to have the highest attack on your team if you are going to be playing him. That is very key. Both builds, even though the attack changes by 10k, the power will change by not even that much. It just, the amount of like optimization that is put into build number 2 over build number 1 is just insane. That's pretty much it for his build. Now, using his more optimized build for, I'm just gonna actually use the more free-to-play build because the dark damage is used for enemies. Hey guys, post-editing Dreakt here, and I'm just gonna share with you 2 other builds that I've, you know, come across while, you know, consulting with a couple of my friends who are also in Grandmaster 1, and some based on some normal testing that I'm doing. So build 3 here is from my friend Heaven, who is repeatedly on the leaderboards, actually finished, I think, either 2nd or 3rd last season. So credits to them for this build. You know, what is aiming for? Not a 1 second start, surprisingly. You know, really ignore what I said earlier, because what I said last night, it was also, you gotta remember, it was also like 1 o'clock in the morning when I was filming it. So it's a 2 second start, but it has HP and rasp, so that Silent Salt is targeted by Shadow Milk and by Doyle, so the HP, it helps heal better. Helps heal Silent Salt better. And then the 35 cooldown, I just, you know, wanted to see, oh, what if 35 cooldown was an option for Silent Salt? And it works pretty darn well, I'll give you that. So, you know, the basis for the 35 cooldown, and here you want around 25% damage resist. Obviously, you know, with a 6-star Silent Salt and max labs, you can go with 24, but you don't want to hit the 35 cooldown. Same biscuit, and for this as well, 25% damage resist, around like 7+ cooldown, be enough. Yeah, try and, you know, focus on attack substats. These are not going to be perfect for you. I got damage resist, cooldown, and attack all down. And then for the tart, I think the tart was 12.5. Yeah, you aim for a high tart both on this one as well. You know, I'm using a 4.8%. I do have a couple 5%, but it's being used by other cookies. Just keep in mind that these builds, try them out with your team that you're building, see how they work, and whichever one works best for you, you might have to build all 3 and see which one, you know, actually works better. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this. And remember, 25% damage resist, that's the minimum. Ignore that I have 24. back to the video. And I'm gonna put on the treasures, the new ones. They don't seem like they'd be good. This one is just really like increasing attack and damage resist, or attacking crit damage. Like this is like a really like powerful treasure. This one is gonna be similar to the chest, I think. And cooldown reduced. Yeah, this is, you wanna stay away from this, I think, for Silent Salt. It's just gonna trigger his like insane buffs. Where's the clock at? Obviously no leaders. And all right, so let's get right into the battle. So before I go right in, I'm gonna make sure that I have, where's damage numbers? Damage numbers on. Okay. See, 1 second start. Now you see, gets on his horse, comes in, and then does the whole like explosion. It's insane. It's insane. So now when you want to activate that, see, you get the berry necklace, silent, you know, it's, you don't want to use this against Silent Salt because it's just going to give, you know, trigger the Mystic Flower effect. Here we go again. There's the punishment buff. You can see where the tune debuff from Silent Salt is. Okay, now see how the berry necklace is stacking as well. All right. This Silent Salt Loki reminds me of the Roaring Knight from Deltarune. Just watch this. Yeah. We got an insane cookie on our hands, guys. Silent Salt is gonna break this meta open. It's not gonna be fun. I'm actually gonna collect my events while saying that it's just not gonna be fun, you know? Actually, it might be fun if you actually get him and know how to build him. Overall, it ain't gonna be fun. And I'm gonna be so honest. How many do I have? 762. Okay, I already been in there today, as you can already tell. That's pretty much gonna be it. I think I explained Silent Salt well. I mean, the treasures, if they are meta, then I will be going more in depth into them, obviously, you know what I mean? Overall, right now, you know, Silent Salt, insane cookie. I just wanted to get this build video out of the way on the night of. It is currently, I think, like 12:30 a.m. on the East Coast while I'm filming this, the night after the update. So like 3.5 hours after the update, we figured out the build. So more free to play, more optimized. Obviously, you know, the attack goes up by 10%. I still have to optimize my resonance, aim for that 19%. That's the sweet spot. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. You know, I'm in college now. I'm actually in my college common room in like a little office space, hiding in the corner at 12:30 in the morning, filming a YouTube video. So it's going great. Talk to you guys soon, you know, join my Discord server, right? We're having a bit of an art contest if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So I'll see you guys later.